And joining us now, prominent litigator, former federal prosecutor, independent counsel for the Whitewater investigation, Robert Ray. Great to have you with us.
Thanks, Lou. Great to be with you.
Let's start with the three left-wing professors making no pretense of being anything other than committed partisans of the highest order, or the lowest, depending on how you want to look at it.
Look, Jonathan Turley was the star. It just goes to show you that one person who knows what he's talking about beats three people who are biased any day.
Also.
So I, somewhat disagree with the president. And the Democrats didn't even make a pretext to a fairness to actually, have a proceeding that looked like there was equal time given to both sides. And so he's right about that. But it's a funny thing about doing these hearings. The truth and fairness and what's right has a funny way of coming out. And it certainly did today.
Despite no effort whatsoever, in fact, every effort to resist fairness, to provide the president due process, nothing approaching that. But you make an interesting point. Because of their horrible conduct, in my opinion, particularly Professor Harlan from Stanford, bringing in the first couple's son into that hearing.
That was a cheap shot, and I think it was below the bar of decency. Look, politics is hardball, but we don't involve the president's family, and particularly a minor child. That's out of bounds. And
the First Lady, I compliment for not waiting for Air Force One to land.
She showed decency and grace, as she always does.
I want to turn, though, to an interesting strategic element that occurred today. As much as everyone was focused on the president, ostensibly, in this, it became about those three law professors. It became about their, I think, unwise approach to their testimony.
And that's never a good day. When the witnesses themselves become the focus of the inquiry, that means, I have tried a lot of cases. Right. When that happens, that's not good. So this was not a good day for the Democrats and their engineered impeachment effort.
So today, even the concept to begin with, before the actuality, didn't make a lot of sense. Suddenly, the Judiciary Committee is taking seriously the Constitution, really? And then,
well, and Jonathan Turley, I think, pointed, if we can deal with substance for a moment. Look, he was right on target to say the Democrats' boundless interpretation or standardless interpretation of abuse of power and indeed bribery essentially doesn't leave you with any basis to determine what conduct falls over the line with regard to impeachable conduct and what conduct falls short of that line. And I think he made great pains to really tell the Congress, you ought to think seriously about what you're doing. If you don't have evidence that in connection with the call, which is really the principal basis of this impeachment, that the president made a demand or coerced or pressured the president of Ukraine, you don't have a bribery case. And to try to suggest otherwise, which is what went on today from these law professors and the Democratic inquisitors, is frankly doing a great disservice to the country.
Well, going to the substance of the day, the outset of this broadcast, we pointed out that previous presidents have, in point of fact, defied subpoenas without being even a suggestion.
And that's the most
that they
ridiculous
would be
notion.
impeached.
Right. Look, you cannot have a system in which one branch is struggling with another branch over an assertion of privilege. And as Professor Turley quite aptly pointed out, the referee in connection with the dispute between those two branches is a court. If the Democrats are not prepared to play this out and get a final resolution in the courts over who's right with regard to an assertion of privilege, they should be not left to complain now and then make that the basis of another impeachment article. I don't know how under any circumstance that could ever be considered to be fair and in the country's best interest.
And unlikely to be politically sustainable.
Right. And Lou, the whole point of this is, aren't you trying to persuade? The only way an impeachment is successful is if the Democrats do something that persuades the other party that they're right. Was there any effort really to do that today? And if there was, it wasn't successful, which means that we're going to have a partisan, illegitimate impeachment effort to remove this president from office, which is dead on arrival in the Senate.
Right. which it has been illegitimate from the outset because there was never a floor vote, unlike previous attempts at impeachment. This has been wrong-headed from the.